Welcome. In this video, we're going to talk how to begin the eyes. The very first thing that I do is make sure that I've got eyeballs in there, positioned in the correct location, because those will become your landmarks in this case for defining the eyelids and the shape of those eyes. So let's go ahead and add to our subtools. Right now we have our figure. We're going to go ahead and click on our active tool and get the sphere 3D. You can see by framing up your selection that that is placed in the center of the world. And what you're going to do now is go ahead and convert that primitive mesh to make polymesh 3D, so we can go ahead and continue to work with this shape. Alright, so that said, now what we're going to do is go ahead and position that and scale that. We're going to use the transform features for the objects, which are in the upper left hand corner. So first thing I'm going to do is scale, and you can scale uniformly by grabbing the gizmo and scaling all the way toward the center. Okay, that might be a little small, but we're going to go ahead and move that now. And I'm going to grab that right in the center there. Oops, I'm moving side to side. I don't want to do that. I'm going to go ahead and click on the little gizmo that allows me to change the orientation here. Holding the shift key down, I can draw that right up to the location where we want it to be. Notice the gizmo stays in this location. I'm just going to go ahead and continue to pull that up there. This gizmo is a little different. You have a new gizmo in the current rev of ZBrush, which is a little easier to use. That's a little more the form that we use in Max and Maya. But what you're basically doing is you can re-establish the origin of that gizmo at any time by clicking and dragging on that. So what I'm going to do is show you how to use this one. It's a multifaceted gizmo. It takes a little time to get used to it, but it's packed full of really great features. So what I'm going to do is click and drag holding my shift key down, and what that does is it locks it into a 90-degree angle. And then you can change the orientation of that by clicking around here on these features. For the move, you can click and drag that from the center icon. I undid that so I can show you this one. You can change the shape of that by using the far right, or the furthest away from there. And you can also if you are, let me go ahead and zoom in so you can see there's a little crosshatch in the center of the gizmo that's right inside the star feature there. If you click on that, you can trim your surface. That's not what we're trying to do, but go ahead and show you that anyway. What we're trying to do is go ahead and raise up into the location that we want this particular sphere, and so again I'm going to grab it right in the center. I'm going to hold my shift key down so it's locked in, and then I'm going to go ahead and I'll just bump it over here. Now you can also scale, in which case you're going to click and drag again to reposition that gizmo. Scale also has a number of features inside this particular gizmo, so get to know that. Furthest right is going to scale uniformly, and that eyeball is going to be a lot bigger than you think it is. It should fill that entire socket. So make sure that you are scaling your sphere to an accurate size. Okay, if you don't know, make sure that you get skull reference so that you can actually see that. Alright, I need to nudge it a little bit more to the center. Now we're working in 3D, so make sure that you're rotating and you're checking the position of that sphere in your side view as well. Alright, you can see that when we rotate, it collapses on itself visually, but all you're going to do is click on another of the handles here, and then you can go ahead and move that into position again. I'm going to hold down my my shift so that it's only traveling along the z-axis, and I'm going to align the right surface of that with the eyeball showing in the image plane there. Alright, once you've got that, you can go ahead and create another eyeball very quickly and easily by coming down here to Geometry Rollout, Modify Topology, and Mirror and Weld. Floor View Elevator, okay. Go ahead and say yes, and it'll drop it over there for you. Just making reference to the floor. Alright, that's done. Now what we want to do is go ahead and combine that to the subtool with our character. So clicking back on my character, I can import that new set of eyeballs through Append or Insert, and it should be located right there in the 3D Meshes category. Now that I have those loaded in and positioned where they should be, you can see, if I turn the floor on again, that that I might have some adjustments to make sure that my eyelids are in the proper place. So I'm just going to check again the location of my spheres. Sure enough, there's my eyes, and I may have some adjustments to do on my mesh too. My eyes are high, they felt high, so I'm going to go ahead and adjust for that right off. Alright, with my move brush, nice big brush, I'm going to set my intensity up, and I'm just going to start moving that mesh into position. Alright, and dialing down the brush size as needed, just nudging that again into position. So I'm getting there. Alright, I still have a ways to go. Remember that your brow, your eye bone on the outside there, needs to be nice and strong. Maybe not that strong, but definitely keep it nice and strong. And the shape of the eyelid, it's not almond, it's not round. Make sure that you're got a pop problem today. Make sure that you're looking at your eye reference to capture what you need there. Alright, now I have no eyelids at all yet, so I want to make sure that I'm pulling appropriately on my edge loops so that I make sure the edge loops stay in a position for best shape, but I also know that I've got quite a ways to go on my shape, so I'm going to continue to just work with this, pull it forward, and when I get it into position far enough, I can begin to shape that up. Now to start, what I'm going to do is go ahead and get my standard brush. I'm going to scale in on this feature, and I'm going to get a brush size that's appropriate, and I'm just going to start pulling on that mesh so I can get a nice eyelid coming out of there. Alright, also for the bottom, I need an eyelid on the bottom. Okay. Now I can push in to further define that that eye cavity there. Okay, keep it coming forward. Alright, now I'm going to raise this lid up. Plenty of just defining my brow bone up there a little bit more. This is my new eyelid. Okay. Rotating here. Smoothing that area out. I can always come back and shape that up how I want it. But right now I'm after the eyelids. I don't want thick eyelids. That's going to show and it's not going to look good. It's not going to look like an eyelid. So I want to make sure to stay thin enough where the light is reading appropriately across the surface there. So once I've got them pulled out, I want to make sure that I'm flattening them out enough where it doesn't look like a big balloon over my eye there. Okay, I can also do that shaping with my move brush. Notice I'm using the same brushes that I've always liked to use. You're going to find the brushes that you love to use as well. But for sculpting, it's pretty much all the same. Just getting your knowledge about anatomy showing for your portfolio. Notice that I'm following the edge loops as much as possible, keeping those defined. They're playing in my favor. This area right in here is a little full yet. Back to my standard brush. Push on that just a little bit. Okay. Now the dam standard is also one of my favorites for eyes, defining those really subtle shapes. So let's go get it. Alright, and I'm going to put a tear duct in here. Just by pulling on that a little bit more aggressively. I don't want to add any features that are not going to actually show up. So getting my nice lip on my, there we go. All of that's going to grab the light nicely. Alright, and I can come back into this tear duct just a little bit and accentuate that a little bit more. There we go. And now, of course, I want to have a nice lip on my upper lid as well. A little bit more, and Alt key down. You can see now the light is grabbing that in a completely different way. I don't need that. Sometimes putting all of the information in there is less effective than not. So I'm going to get in here with a nice big brush now and redefine the location of my, oops, I'm just going the wrong direction. A nice deep crevice for my eyelid. Okay, I can do the same for the lower region if I want to, but I don't think I'll dig that hard on it. Maybe less intensity here. And if you have laugh lines, you can go ahead and put those in. Alright. Now, it's not the end of the world. That's not his shape that I want him to have. So I'm just going to come back after it and shape them up the way that I want them. They are very heavy lids. I don't want them quite that heavy. They are more almond, and I don't want that shape for this particular character. So back to the move brush. Alright. Now, here's a tip here for getting these into the position that you want them to be in. Sometimes you just can't find a brush that's going to help you do that, but a combination of features will. So what I'm going to do is hold my control key down, back to my standard brush, and go ahead and mask this area. Okay, when I do that, I can no longer move that area. However, I do now have the option of coming in here and reshaping all of this, which is what I want to do. Drop a nice heavy lid over there. Okay, smoothing it back a little bit. You can see how that can really give you the advantage over what's happening there. Alright, going to my 3/4 view again, making sure I've got exactly what I want in here. Alright, now further defining my brow. There it is. Nice heavy brow, nice hooded eyelid, I believe is what they call that. Okay, and now to release the masking, all you need to do is come on down here. I'll show you where that lives. Masking has a lot of different features associated with it, but you can clear your mask right there, just like that. Now, that's not exactly the shape and the features that I want for his eyes, not yet, but I'll call that a first pass on that and live with it for a little while. I can see that we're just a little bit strong around here in my 3/4 view, but I'll come back after that in my next pass. Alright, so we have finished the first pass on the facial features. Hands and feet are almost there. We've got a lot to correct on the anatomy here, but as a first pass, we're going to call it good. And save your work. Make sure you're saving iteratively. And join me in the next series where we'll be talking about creating clothing for this character. Thank you for joining me.